Bill Ryan, and welcome to my world. Um, Several years ago, I completed a book called Global Financial Superheating 2014. And basically, um, I wrote about our future and the direction and the course that we're heading on. The fundamental premise of the book is basically there will be extreme heating up of the planet when the financial institutions collapse. And I base it on the fact that our planet and almost literally every government now produces paper money. And that paper money has become literally almost non-existent. So it's about 20–25%. So all of us on this planet are relying on numbers on a piece of paper. It's not real. Once upon a time, and it was very stable, the economy in this country was based on the gold standard. Silver, gold, tangible items, an oil painting, an automobile, a house, land, tangible. And it was very stable. We were talking 100 years plus, and the value of gold didn't change measurably. And then we went off the gold standard and we went on to the Illuminati's paper money. And the value of that paper money has been continuously dropping decade after decade. And today it's reported that the current value of the dollar, the $1 bill that's in your pocket, is truly worth about 4 cents. That's it. So you work all day long for pennies, you really are working for pennies. That's why it doesn't buy anything. That's why it doesn't, you can barely feed your family. It doesn't pay for anything because it doesn't have any value. It's not real. That's why they put in God we trust on currency, because people don't really trust the government anymore. Well, you'll trust God. Yeah, we'll put God on the money, and that'll make it real. That'll make it safe. No, it's still a note, which is why in the book I refer to them as God notes, because they're not anything else. They're not real. It's just a piece of paper with ink on it. That's all it is. And I came across a gentleman that had predicted global warming based on the fact that planes in the air were producing debris out of their jet engines, and that matter, that material, was reflecting sunlight. So basically you have the Earth, and you have the atmosphere around the Earth, and you have a plane sailing along up here, and it is producing these contrails. Well, today we see it all the time, but when I first saw his explanation, it was in the right around the year right around 2000, and his concept was that this upper atmosphere contrails, here's your sun over here, and the sunlight was bouncing off those contrails and effectively keeping the planet cooler. Well, a year or two after that, I tried, because I wanted to incorporate him in a book I was writing, and in this book, and I couldn't find him. There's nowhere. There's no information about this guy. He fell off the face of the earth, gone. The only thing you can find is there's a conversation about it being a silly thing. Don't worry about it. Just move along. Along came 9/11, and all of the airplanes were grounded. And so there were no longer airplanes, and the sun was able to come straight down onto the planet's surface. So he walks out of his office and he sees a beautiful blue sky. And he thinks, oh my goodness, I got to call all my friends. So he calls all around the world and he says, measure your water evaporation, measure your ground temperature, measure your air temperature, and keep track of it, because there's no more jet pollution in the upper atmosphere. And he did, and the temperature overall of the planet rose by 1.5 degrees. 1.5 degrees. That's a lot in 3 days. And then all of a sudden the planes are back up there. You don't hear anything about this, and now you see the jets up there producing puke all the time, aluminum, all kinds of poisons that we have to breathe. So what I said was, eventually what's going to happen is the God node is going to collapse. There will be a global financial collapse. So when one country goes under, let's pick the United States, when it finally dawns on everybody that that piece of paper has no value, or the financial collapse was caused deliberately, there will be no jets in the air. No jets. Because nobody will have any money to get on an airplane and fly. When an example of that being true is when the global community turned against the Soviet Union, and in recent times here, and caused their dollar to collapse by 50%. People they barely had money for food, but so they didn't fly. So the government planes, they weren't going up in the air because there wasn't anybody that had money to buy a ticket. So that's an example to show you how the financial, the fake money having value, and global warming are linked together. And when the dollar globally collapses and goes to its true value, which is nothing, it's not anything, it has no value, the planet's going to get hotter. It's a thing that you see all the time. Right on the edge, when the government reaches $24 trillion of debt, there are countries, they just don't survive. Nazi Germany didn't make it. Russia did the same thing, and they just said, well, all that money you got in the bank, it doesn't count anymore. This is your new money. And they just come up with new money and new fake money, and away we go on another new economy, and everybody tries to recover and do the best they can. And the rich, they do fine because they put all their money in gold. Not gold securities, but gold bricks. And they protect themselves that way. So they'll do just fine. They'll pull those gold bars out. They'll buy your house. They'll buy the street. They'll buy the government. They'll buy whatever they want because they're smart. They didn't put their money in money. The worst place you can put your money is in money. That's the stupidest thing you can do. And people do it all the time. Oh, save your money. You'll get rich. You say, no, you're an idiot if you save your money. You're making their money more valuable because you're not spending your money. If you spent your money, their money will go down in value. You watch the gold go from $300 to $1,600. The gold didn't cost more, it didn't go up in value. The gold stayed the same. The only thing what happened was your money went down in value. And that's why, and we've never recovered since. It's somewhere hovering, last time I checked, around $1,300. I don't know what it is now because I don't care. I don't follow it. And I always try to look at the bigger picture, what's going on here. And that's the understanding of that principle is basically what's in the book. And to try to warn people not to trust these government systems throughout the world. Do not put your money in money and put it in tangibles. If you own a piece of property and your neighbor owns a piece of property and they're both worth $1 million, and here comes the financial crash and now they're worth $10,000, well, guess what? Yours and your neighbor's is worth the same amount. They both have the same value. They still have value. Even though it's significantly smaller, it still has value. If you had $1 million in the bank, poof, gone. Have you ever heard of what you think, oh, well, the banks will bail me out? No, they won't. What will happen is there's a whole new design out there called bail-in. So the money you have in the bank, when the banks collapse, instead of the government bailing out the banks will bail themselves out with your money. That's how they'll do it. And you won't have any money. It'll be a new one-time tax. Yeah, the one-time tax is we take your life savings, and now you have nothing. So, but the big picture is when this happens, when the planes don't fly anymore because there's just no money of real value to put them up into the air to keep the system going, for the public to be flying, you probably always have the military jets up there. They'll be thrilled to death to have all the airspace. So they can continue to conquer the world and suppress freedom of speech. The goal is going to be that when that happens, not the goal, when that happens, the planet is just going to continue to increase in temperature. And it's really going to increase very fast when that happens. And that's basically the book, and it's to try to warn people of what's going on and to try to prepare you for the eventuality of the collapse of the dollar. Global Financial Superheating is the name of the book, and that's basically what it's about, to warn people of what's coming. And I want to thank you for watching this video, and I sincerely hope you enjoy the book. Thank you.